Welcome everybody. Today's unit is Facilitate Workplace Debriefing and Support Processes, CHCMGT005. This is a very crucial part of being a manager in community services. And I was just going to say any other job, I guess, as well. We have a duty of care towards our staff, of course. When something untoward has happened, be it an emergency or any type of incident that can be dangerous or distressing, we have an obligation to support our staff, and we can do this with debriefing. Can you hear that? I don't know what's going on.
Someone's got their mic on and said to me.
Yeah. Raluca, are you okay?
Yes.
Oh. It is doing a double up.
Yeah. Is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. I'll keep going. So we have a duty of care to support our staff when there's been a significant incident in the workplace, and as well as doing general debriefing with them. It's part of your role, and it's a very important part of the role of a manager in community services. So let's have a look at our first question. What can managers do to manage stress in the workplace? So this is not only just stress for you, but general stress in the workplace. What can you do as a manager? Some of the things that probably give me like three or four things that you can do as a manager to manage stress in the workplace. So it's not necessarily your stress, it's general stress in your workplace that you are in charge of. Things like you could consult with your employees to see what they would like to have done. Consultation is always a good thing. Getting some input and suggestions from your staff. Making sure that the ergonomics of your area is good, like you've got the right chairs, you've got everything's the right desks, the right height, all that type of thing. Have a look at people's rosters. Just make sure that the rostering has been done in an ethical way, that people aren't being overused, if that's a good word. So we've ensured that there's an adequate recovery time for employees after something has happened in the workplace, or that if they're doing repetitive tasks as well, just be aware of that. Please encourage employees to report all injuries. What else we might have a look at? Regular breaks, that's right.
Exercise.
Yeah, there are some companies that when you join them, you have a discount on a gym program, that type of thing. Yeah, some healthy practices, healthy lifestyle practices. We could encourage that. Even just a relaxation in the office, you can do that too. Anything like that. So remember, this is not about your stress. Well, I guess overall it is about your stress, but it's about creating a supportive workplace, supportive for your staff to help manage any stresses that may come with the role. Now, this one is about research. So conduct appropriate research and list 3 options for stress and emotional wellbeing support. Now, just confine your research to Queensland. What kind of things might we be looking for? Maybe we're looking for gym membership, somebody to come and speak to the staff about wellness and healthy lifestyle. You can have a look at that. See if I'm sure there's somebody that does that. Coping with stress. So there's just how to cope with stress. General developing skills, appropriate research, and 3 options for stress and emotional well-being support. Do a search and see what you come up with. I might just have a little look. Yeah, I would.
It's not the same as the top one?
No, this is actually organisations that will do this.
Oh, okay.
So it's organisations.
Okay, yeah.
3 options for stress. So this is organisations, people that will come to your workplace and speak to the staff, encourage the staff, support the staff. If you have an employee assistance program as well, you want to make sure that that program is offering the support that it should be offering. So you might have a psychologist on that employee assistance program. Yeah. Organisations or people that will encourage, will list options for stress and emotional well-being. Come to the workplace, arrange for talks, skill development, that type of thing. That's what I'm after. List and describe at least five strategies. I'm happy with 5 that can be used to reduce work-related stress. That reduce work-related stress. Things like that I'm interested in you putting down is around lifestyle. So the lifestyle that your employees and yourself has. So 5 strategies that can be used to reduce work-related stress. Getting enough sleep, alcohol in moderation, exercise, making good food choices, that type of thing. Reducing stress by prioritising. Prioritise your tasks, plan regular breaks, have a balanced schedule. So think also about emotional intelligence. The 5 key skills of emotional intelligence. Realise when you're stressed. Stay connected to your internal emotional experience. Recognise and effectively use non-verbal cues and body language. Develop the capacity to meet challenges with humour and resolve conflict positively. Yeah, any one of those is fine. So I want 5 strategies that can be used to reduce your work-related stress. We'll put you in the photo now. So your work-related stress. Take care of yourself. Look at your lifestyle, exercise, food choices. Are you getting enough sleep? You can reduce your job stress by prioritising as well. Plan regular breaks, prioritise tasks, try to have a balanced schedule. Delegate as a manager, you can delegate some of your tasks. Reduce your job stress by improving your emotional intelligence. So look at the things that, and self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management. And then you can also look at what bad habits you may have. Can't always be a perfectionist, for example. Can't always control every situation. This is anything along those lines. Pick 5 of those, or give me different ones. I don't mind. How you can manage stress, work-related stress. Maybe how you already do manage work-related stress. Next question. Describe what you can do to work effectively with colleagues from other cultures. We've had this question asked in
every single one, just about.
Well, you can see how important it is then.
Yeah.
Because no matter what workplace we go to, we will be mixing with people from other cultures. So Describe what you can do to work effectively with colleagues from other cultures. I think awareness is the very first thing I'll be thinking of. Figure out, just be aware that maybe cultural attitudes that person might have. Do some cross-cultural training. Avoid stereotyping. Treat everybody as an individual. I think you need to value the different perspectives that people bring to the workplace from different cultures. Yeah.
I like to ask questions because sometimes, especially if the different cultures, they can understand that you're making the effort to understand, but you don't know what you don't know. So I find that a lot of them are quite happy to, I don't know, it could be maybe Ramadan's coming up, you don't quite understand what that is, so you just ask questions, and they always seem very happy to explain it. Exactly. And then when that time arises, then you have more cultural awareness around and more sensitivity around why they're not eating it.
That's exactly right. Very good. Ask questions, I think, that's a very, very, very valid thing to say, Matt. Ask questions. You can do some research yourself as well. But usually people are very happy to share with you what their culture brings to them. All right. How can stress be detected by monitoring worker performance? Excuse me. Often workers' performances will be negatively affected by stress. So if you've got people that are becoming, I don't know, more angry in the workplace, angrier easily, if they're not performing the way that you know they can perform, if they've got KPIs, key performance indicators, and they aren't being met, that can be a bit of a awareness raising for you. So is a person under too much stress? Are they feeling anxious? Can you see a change in them? That's a big thing, I think. How can stress be detected? By monitoring, only by monitoring worker performance. So if they're not as productive as they used to be, even if they're looking like they're anxious, they're becoming angry more quickly, more easily, all those sorts of things, by monitoring people's performance in those ways, their behaviour. 5 stress indicators that can be experienced in an organisation. Well, so high worker turnover. If you've got lots of people leaving or resigning from your workplace, that could be an indicator of too much stress. Increased sickness.
Yeah, leave. That was a big one in one of ours. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's should be flag raising with you if somebody's taking more sick leave, or they're calling in sick, or they're taking days off. Something could be wrong either at work or maybe in another part of their life. If you've got an increase in incidents, accidents at work as well, that can indicate stress for the workplace. Yeah. More complaints from staff. The final question in this 1-3 is, how can an organisation detect workers are being exposed to stressful situations? I think it's about being really aware yourself as a manager. Ask your workers. Talk with them, encourage them to express their feelings about how it's going, if about difficult situations as well. So it's all about communication and respect, I believe. But that's how you can often detect that workers are being exposed to stressful situations. Maybe you can discuss it in a team meeting. Communication is vital in this situation. Vital. All right. Our next one, why should you use self-assessment and reflective behaviour strategies to monitor your performance? I think because if this if you're the manager in a particularly difficult situation, then you owe it to yourself to do some reflective behaviour strategies, reflect on your work, how you can do it better, how you can do it differently. It's about your mental and physical health as well, seeing what you can change about what you're doing, improve, do differently, that type of thing. How can you establish performance benchmarks to measure performance against? Well, that's an interesting question. I don't think you can just sit on your desk and pull them out of the air. You've really got to have a look at your work, at your job descriptions, to see whether that's performance measurement, performance benchmarks are actually mentioned in there.
You can compare, like, every job has this, like for us, though, we do like progress notes.
Ah, yes.
So you could like compare, you might have done one sentence and then you notice that the other person's done like a whole paragraph. So maybe you can get an idea of, okay, so maybe I should be giving, like, mentioning those things that I didn't think were important. So
yeah, okay.
Compare progress notes or incidents reports and see like there might be more detail.
Yeah, it can do that as well. Yeah. If you're really moving forward with wanting to establish performance benchmarks, you can't just, like I said, can't do it in isolation. You need to speak with your staff. With the kind of, you need to look at maybe KPIs or KRAs, what objectives and goals. We could be talking about what needs to be done, how it should be done, what resources could be used when you're starting to develop them. But you need consultation. You just can't do it in isolation. Consultation with your staff, with other managers as well, with your manager above. So KPIs you could consider establishing. Yeah. So how can you establish performance benchmarks? That's performance benchmarks. So we need to figure out what work is being done, how it's being done, where it's being done, what standard are we expecting of that performance of that work. But like I said, you can't do it in isolation. You need to do it in consultation with your staff and other people of the organisation. What is reflective behaviour? Reflective behaviour is actually like taking the time to stop and think about what has happened or what is happening now, what should happen next. And I'm always encourage people to develop reflective behaviour, because that way you can take some time to think about what has happened, how you would do it differently, how you would do it when it came up again. What improvements can I make? That type of thing. So we're looking for, reflection is a bit like continuous improvement, actually. You can develop the skill of reflection, then you're really looking at yourself in order to continuously improve your performance, whatever you're reflecting on. So feedback. What is feedback? Feedback it can happen in many different ways, but in particular in the workplace, it's about can determine your performance. So feedback that you get, you might have peer feedback, feedback from your supervisors. It's a process of gathering information to find out whether your performance is meeting the expectations of others. In this context, in a workplace context, that's what it's about. Process of gathering information to determine whether your performance is meeting the expectations of others. And who would you get feedback from? From whom might you seek feedback? So we can do it in formal performance appraisals. In that situation, you would be, that's an opportunity for your feedback. Some organisations do a 360-degree evaluation, and that means that anybody that you come in contact is asked for feedback on your performance, be it clients, staff, managers, Anybody? It's interesting. I've worked in an organisation a number of years ago that did 360-degree evaluations. Yeah. Internal and external customers can be questioned as well. Managers in other departments or any peers and colleagues that you have in your organisation. Next question, how can you seek feedback about performance? Well, you can do it in formal or informal ways. You can do it in your review situation. You can do it informally by asking. Just do it verbally, asking peers, colleagues, what they think. It can, I don't know, giving feedback can be a tricky situation. Some people can abuse it. Other people don't take it well if they're given feedback. So it's, how can you seek feedback about performance? So you can do it verbally or in writing. Just be cautious about who you ask, really. Some people will use it in a negative way. Certainly the answer I'm after is you can do it formally and informally, in writing or verbally. Our next question is an interesting one. Why is planning important? Give me 2 or 3 reasons planning is important. Planning provides a framework for your organisation. It can reduce uncertainty about what to anticipate. It can help us manage the future, managing any change that might be required. It will identify goals and objectives, strategies, helps take the risk out of the future. So it provides a framework for the organisation and for your area in the organisation to develop protocols to to deal with the future. It can also help identify what services are, what gaps are there in services. So it's a very, very important part of being a manager. Very important part. Why do organisations need to identify current and potential areas of need? I'll have a think about it. Why do you need to do that? Current and potential areas of need. So these can be internal or external, I guess. Current and potential areas of need. I think because we have, let's say it's an internal area of need, is there some potentially dangerous situation with the environment? We can class that as an area of need. We have a duty of care to all of our staff, to everybody actually, including ourselves. So we need to protect our workers from any psychological or physiological hazards, sociological hazards, So I guess we could say, why do organisations need to identify current and potential areas of need? Because we have a duty of care to our staff, to ourselves and to our clients, and we need to be seen to be proactive in dealing with any area of need, particularly stress in the workplace. Which leads to, how can organisations ascertain stress levels among employees? You can have a look at your absenteeism levels. You can actually survey your staff to see how they're going, how they're feeling about the workplace. We can observe staff, workers' relationships and see whether you can get from their body language that things are going okay. Monitor productivity, anything changed. But certainly conducting worker satisfaction surveys could be a good beginning for you. But I think awareness, you need to raise your awareness levels so you can actually sense when the stress is increasing, so you can actually do something about it. But certainly your absenteeism will be a very good indicator of what's going on. Have we got any, as we've said in the past, if we've got any grievances or complaints, formal or informal, they can indicate that stress is increasing with employers. Okay, that is the end of the first topic, monitor welfare of colleagues. I'm going to stop the recording now for a little while to give you a chance to review what you've written in your answers, and I'll be back. Oh, good. All right, now we're in section 2. Question 1A, explain the legal and ethical aspects of duty of care as they apply to supporting and debriefing colleagues. We know we should have a stock standard response in our heads that we can pull out when we're asked about duty of care. It's along the lines of, duty of care is a complex area based on principles of reasonableness. It requires that everything reasonably practicable is done to protect the health and safety of clients and prevent foreseeable harm. And it's not just about clients, it's about everybody. It's yourself, your colleagues, members of the community, as well as our clients. So it's a holistic thing, duty of care, not just for clients. We have a professional responsibility of exercising duty of care around everything that we do. We can, if we don't, then we can be guilty of negligence. So negligence could be the legal consequences of a breach of ethical principles, can result from actions that could reasonably be foreseen as causing harm to clients, and result from inaction when a client is at risk. But not just the client, it's about your co-workers, it's about you, it's about members of the community. It's a holistic situation. Years ago, I had a client who had some very difficult behaviours when she was out in the public, and she would see somebody, usually a woman, who had long hair, and she would target that woman. She would run up to that person and pull their hair really, really hard, so hard that sometimes she actually pulled it out of the roots. So that's a very, very difficult behaviour. We had a responsibility to members of the public that we had a duty of care to members of the public. Staff had a duty of care to really manage this young girl very carefully, so that she did not have easy access to anybody with long hair. Anybody who was sitting down, you would go over and pull their hair. So the staff had a duty of care not only to themselves but to the client as well as members of the public. So it's a holistic duty of care we have to everybody. Therefore, if we're supporting and debriefing our colleagues, then we have a duty of care towards them to actually acknowledge, to recognise when there's a stressful situation, when they are stressed. We have to ensure that all the health and safety legislation is understood by our staff so that they are complying with it. We must have appropriate reporting procedures in our organisation so that anything, incidents or accidents, can be reported and acted upon. Explain the meaning of an organisational procedure relating to debriefing. So we know that procedures give us step-by-step plan on how, excuse me, how to implement a particular policy. In this case, we're talking about debriefing procedures. So the debriefing procedures can be from an emergency situation, may not have been perceived as an emergency situation, but from a mental health situation, we need to have procedures so that staff are guided in what they could do. You need to have a critical incident and debriefing process. So it provides a step-by-step plan on how to implement debriefing, how to manage an incident, how to report a critical incident. So that type of thing is what I'm after, please. So in that organisational procedure, it might have a flow chart for you to follow, outlining the key processes and responsibilities in a debriefing situation. So again, the procedures give you a step-by-step guide in implementing procedures relating to debriefing. Just give me an outline in that. Maybe the organisation you're working for now has a procedure that spells out debriefing processes. If so, you can have a look at that one. Five things that should be considered when planning, preparing and scheduling a debriefing. Planning, preparing and scheduling. You've got to have a look at what assistance is required. If your plan, is it a time that people can attend? Is it a place they can get to? So the venue, can you actually help in this situation? Have you got the skills and knowledge? Maybe you need to bring somebody else in. How much assistance is required? What is the scope of the assistance required? Some years ago, we had a client. I was managing a service, and we had a client who passed away in a respite situation, overnight respite he was in, and of course my staff were understandably very distressed about it. So I spoke immediately with the staff concerned on the day it happened to debrief with them then and there, but then I scheduled a formal debriefing at a later time in the week that everybody could come to, so that we could come together and discuss the whole situation again, but together. Made sure that the right people were asked. So you've got to make sure that you've got the right people there. People were concerned, that the day is good, that the venue works out. That type of thing is what I'm after, please. I mean, the key thing is make sure you are the best person to be the one to lead it. If you think you're not, then you need to find somebody else to do that for you. But analyse the whole situation. What should you do if you have to plan a debriefing and there are no procedures or guidelines available? What would you do? You'd really have to reflect on it. I guess you'd ask yourself why there's no procedures available, why there's no procedures yet written. But we can be flexible in what we're doing.
We could suggest actually implement a procedure ourselves, like if nothing's in place, actually.
We'll have to develop. Yeah, we'll have to develop one given the situation. And then we can suggest to our HR department that we can share what we've developed with our HR department and suggest that they They can also make it a formal procedure. We need to have a formal procedure for debriefing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we sit down as the manager. We need to act now, not wait for anybody else to do this for us. So we need to figure out the process for the debriefing. So who requires debriefing? Find out the information of what actually happened. If you of course you weren't involved, find out the information of what's happened. Conduct the debriefing. Evaluate how it's gone. Yeah. So you can write the procedure as you do it, actually, but then you'll need to speak with human resources or the CEO, somebody, and share that with them, because this is a critical part of duty of care and management of staff, particularly in community service organisations. We need to have a procedure for debriefing. Yeah. So maybe some things we could consider prior, or as a reflection on the debriefing process, was is there further training required for staff? Yeah, further training I think can be highlighted as part of the processes. But we certainly need to put something in writing and have it then implemented, or at least form part of the initial conversation with our HR area around a procedure. So things like determine who requires, just on the run, you'll have to do who does require, who do I need to bring to the debriefing? What requirements might there be? Like all staff have to attend in person. We can't really do a debriefing via Zoom. It's not quite what we're after. It's better than nothing, but it's just, I suppose, what kind of information do I need? And then after it, how did that go? Evaluation of that process. Did that work? What feedback did you get from the staff? What further training is required? And the next one is, when should debriefing occur? Look, I really do think that initial debriefing needs to occur within 24 hours, between 1 and 3 days maximum after a critical incident. You can do a few different forms. You can do a one-on-one debriefing with individuals, and then you can come together in a meeting situation, a group situation, in a couple of days after that, so you can further unpack how people are feeling and what happened, and what we can do to prevent something similar happening in the future. Debriefing, it can take, oh goodness, I don't know how long's a piece of string, a couple of hours at least. So what I would do would be individually debrief with our staff, and then I'd bring them together in a meeting, all those who were involved. And I know this unit's talking about staffing, but there's also situations that can occur where you may have to debrief a client if they have been a witness to a behaviour of concern, a significant behaviour. Your client needs to have the opportunity as well to be debriefed. So keep that in mind. 5 things you consider when you are selecting a suitable place to conduct a debriefing. Well, I think this is probably quite an easy question to answer. You make sure it's comfortable, that it's private. It's not going to be in the middle of the park. It's in a room that we can close off. Private, quiet. The venue is big enough to hold however many people are attending. Anything we might need, like a whiteboard, anything like that, that's all available. All the bits and pieces are there. So make sure that we have, it's comfortable, it's quiet, it's private, and that it's big enough to hold however many people are coming, and that we've got a whiteboard, all the aids that we might need in order to facilitate a conversation, demonstrate different things. How can you ensure debriefing encourages open discussion and covers all requirements? I think that we can set the standard. We can at the opening of a debriefing session, you can say things like, this is not a blame situation, it's a supportive situation. And we're trying to value everybody's opinion, and people are encouraged to give feedback. You can also ensure covering all requirements. If you have an agenda, then that will keep you on task. Describe how you can use a range of question types and debriefing techniques to conduct a debriefing. So we all know that there's the main two types of questions are open and closed questions. The closed question just requires a yes, no answer. You can mix the types of your questions up. You can get more information from an open question, allowing people to present more ideas. You can switch around the different kinds of questions that you're asking, the different ways that you're asking. Make sure that you conduct a debriefing openly and honestly, that you must record the key points that come out as well. Respect everybody's rights. Big part, I think, of a debriefing is to identify issues that need to be raised higher up the organisation to prevent something like this happening again. You need to make sure that you value everybody's input so that it's a supportive and inclusive environment in your debriefing. Next one is talking about the 7 key points for a critical incident stress debriefing. I think there will be something in your learner guide that will discuss that. So 7 key points for critical incident. This can't be the only document that exists, but they've referred to one Davis 1998. Identifies 7 key points for critical incident stress debriefing. See if you can find that document. It's a bit old. Davis 1998, D-A-V-I-S 1998. Davis, D-A, it must be the person's last name. It's a bit old. I'd be happy if you found something a little bit more modern. Critical incident stress debriefing. Kind of things I'm looking for. Assess the impact of the incident on staff. Identify immediate issues surrounding problems involving safety and security. Provide validation, possible actions. Predict events and reactions to come in after the aftermath of the event, in the aftermath of the event. Conduct a systematic review of the critical incident. Bring closure to the incident. And debriefing assist with the re-entry process back into community or workplace. If you can find that one, or one that's a little bit more modern, I'm happy with that. Something that gives us a framework to run a critical incident stress debriefing, that will be fine. Our next question is types of questions. So there's 6 types of questions. List and describe each one and when it is appropriate to use that particular question. So you've got to tell me what they are and list them, describe me, and tell me when it would be appropriate to use. The 6 different kinds of questions, we've discussed some of these. Closed question, an open question, direct, probing, a leading question, and a loaded question. The last 2 are very dodgy. They can be very dodgy ways of questioning people. So a closed question, as we know, requires only a one-word answer, usually yes or no. It can be useful when we're just trying to clarify facts, and it does help people who may be more nervous in answering. So if you give them just a closed question that requires a yes or a no, usually yes or a no answer. Yeah. An open question is we can get more information with an open question. So it doesn't require a yes or a no answer. It can be used to encourage people to talk. Third one is a direct question. My battery is running low. Okay, all right, just a moment and I'll figure out why. Maybe because it's not plugged in. All right, that'll get me off the hook. I'm fine now. A direct question. The example I can think of is you could ask the question, why did you take that answer? Why did you take that action? That's a very direct question, and hopefully you can get some quite good information out of that. Probing question is tell me more about. That's what's called a probing question. Tell me more about what happened on the day. Tell me more about what happened before, that type of thing. A leading question, I don't really, I'm not a fan of leading questions, but leading question could be an example of, well, didn't that person act foolishly? So that's not really a question, it's more of a statement. It's a leading question. A loaded question can be pointed at someone and they're likely to feel as though they're accused and very uncomfortable. Sometimes people feel they are set up to fail with a loaded question, and no matter what they say, they'll be wrong. It's not the type of question that we should be using at any time, really.
What are you looking for?
Me? No, somebody else.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was joking. I knew you weren't talking to me. It's fine. I knew you weren't talking to me. 7 indicators of risk to self or others. This question has been asked in other units. As long as you give me 7, I'm happy. It could be things like an indicator or a warning sign. Could be that the person's lost their usual sense of humour. They're quieter than normal. Lost interest in social activities. Interest in work. They're taking less than the usual care of their appearance. So these are indicators or warning signs. Of risk to yourself and others. You can come up with some others as well. Maybe they've become argumentative, disruptive. Making threats of suicide, either written or spoken, any kind of thing like that. Mentioning as a joke that they'd be better off dead. something similar to that. Oh yeah, if they look like they're indulging in drugs or alcohol more than what they used to, more than an increased use of drugs and alcohol. Yeah, that's correct. Yep. So give me 7. I'll allow you to be creative in your answer. Our next question is about sections in a debriefing record. There'll be the introduction describing the incident. So this is what will be lodged in your workplace files about a particular incident. So particular incident introduction, identifying the incident, identifying the process that we're going through. Tell me what happened. This section is to describe the incident. Give me details about it. Tell me what issues and solutions came up as a result of the debriefing. And then you can put a summary about summarize the effectiveness of the response. Anything like that's fine. There'll be something in your learner resource, but certainly an introduction, give me a brief understanding, and then more of an describe the incident, give me further details about it. Details about the incident. Tell me about the debriefing. In the debriefing record, tell me what issues and solutions came up. And then you can summarize the response, the organisation's response to the incident. Anything like that's fine. Oh, the next question is, what parts of this debriefing record could be used to create a report? I think just about all of it. So your report, you would be, so this is your debriefing record. The next one is a report of the whole situation. So you would be using all of the information in the debriefing record, making sure that you've, in your incident report, the whole of that report will be considered in the debriefing, but you need to go into detail about describing the incident, like the location, date and time, the background, and then part of your report will be the response to the incident. What did management do? What planning had to change? What operations, communications, what safety issues came up? So it's a bit of an overview of the whole thing. So, and you can put a summary of what went well, things that went well, effectiveness of strategies used during the incident. So reflection after that on what went well, what didn't go well. Yeah. So really all of that debriefing record will become part of the report that would be written, that will give a detailed account from beginning to end of the incident and the debriefing and the responses that came about as a result. The next question is like a repeat of the previous one. What are 7 indications a colleague may be experiencing significant issues? We've answered this in different ways so far, but we need to just play the game. 7, don't give me 6 or 5, please. You can have a look at previous answers you've got about this situation and things that you would include that maybe they've become quieter than normal, they're less interested in social activities, based on a question a few further up the line. Losing their sense of humour, making threats of suicide, losing interest in their work, social activities, anything for the future. They're not developing, not telling you about what they're going to be doing next week, for example. Taking less care about how they look, so coming to work dishevelled, unkempt. Is that 7? It's pretty close to it. It's a very similar question a few back, so you can refer back to that one. What are the 5 elements of psychological first aid? This comes from the Red Cross. So we can talk about promoting safety, promoting calm, promoting connectiveness, self-efficacy, and promoting hope. They're the 5. So promoting safety, calm, connectedness, self-efficacy, and hope. That's the 5 elements of psychological first aid, please. What can you do to support a colleague who needs help? So this can be reasonably easily answered. You just need to be the listener. You need to be aware that something has changed. Talk quietly with them, offer them some help, offer them support to make sure that their basic needs are met. Are they thirsty? Are they hungry? That type of thing. Listen to what they have to say. Put aside the time, have really positive body language so they understand that you are interested in how they are. You can also talk through where they might be able to get some help. If your organisation's employee assistance program would be the first port of call, and everything that's done and said in that EAP is supposed to be confidential. So they remind them that nobody will know what's been discussed. So offer them that support, the physical support with somewhere quiet to sit if they're hungry or they're thirsty. Listen to what they have to say. All right. That's the end of section 2. I'm going to stop the recording so you can have some time to reflect on what you've written, and I'll be back soon again. All right, so now we're into section 3 of our Facilitate Workplace Debriefing and Support Processes. Question: why is it important to follow policies and procedures relating to dispute resolution? This surely is not a difficult question. Policies and procedures provide us with a framework of what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. We need to follow policies and procedures to ensure that we are within our delegated responsibility, we are covered by our insurance, we are fulfilling our duty of care. Easy. They're there as a framework for the organisation. They are developed in a way that ensures processes are completed in a correct manner. Also, if you're following policies and procedures around dispute resolution, it ensures that everybody's on the same page. They all know where we're going and what we're doing. Yeah. What is the impact of excessive stress or burnout? You can put all sorts of things. Death, that's right, you could, heaven forbid. High blood pressure, heart disease, headaches, anything, anything you can name, any physical impact of excessive stress or burnout, eating or sleeping disorders. Just if you could put 3 physical and 3 psychological, that would be great. Anxiety, psychological impact of excessive stress could be anxiety, depression, nightmares, difficulty in concentrating. Overindulgence in anything really. Eating, drinking, exercise, they say. So 2 parts to that question. Can you please let me know what the impacts of excessive stress or burnout are? The physical impacts, please. Just, you don't give me 3 or 4. And the psychological impact, please. Why should mental health professionals and trained peer support workers be involved in critical stress incident debriefing? I think the short answer is because they're trained in supporting people. It's their job, that's right. They will recognise people who need additional support. They are the experts in the field. All right. That brings us to the end of the unit. A lot of very similar questions in this unit. That's okay, we can use that to our advantage. If you've got any questions, please email me and I'll help you. And yeah, I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you.